I still remember us being in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and him being to stand up outside backer jack into the boundary. And I'm like, this is what our guys are supposed to look like. And now I get to coach it, so big physical defensive line, long athletic.
So little shade thrown at Tech there, right? This is what our guys are supposed to look like. Well, you were the head coach, Geoff. Man, imagine that was totally within your ability to change. But he'll tell you Tech lied to him and didn't give him what he needed, this, that, and the other. He's talking about size here. Doesn't surprise me. Jeff's a size queen. He likes length. He likes size. Hopefully he got that, since he's been sitting at home with a lot of time. But yeah, good to hear he hadn't changed. What is going on, everyone? And welcome to WreckTalk. We got a special video today. Collins has kind of been thrust into the news a little bit lately. If you haven't heard the Bill Shanks show interview Paul Johnson did with Bill Shanks, where Paul kind of tells you behind the scenes what other coaches' opinions of this fine young gentleman over here is. Evidently other coaches were laughing at him. Paul definitely has no respect for him. It was a complete circus show the entire time. He was the head guy at Georgia Tech. And let me go ahead and cut some things off from the onset. If you're a North Carolina guy watching this, you're going to say, oh, Reck's just a Tech guy. This is all sour grapes. He's just pissed because Collins destroyed his program. Two things. One, somewhat. I mean, if the guy came to North Carolina as the head coach and he won 10 games in 3 1/4 seasons, I'm sure you wouldn't be thrilled about it. So there is that. Also, even though that's true, he owned North Carolina. I guess at North Carolina, if you can't beat a garbage coach, hire a garbage coach. That sounds very in line with North Carolina defensive philosophy. But yeah, I thought we'd get in here. We do a little Geoff Collins bingo. We got the Wahoo on top. We got the Wahoo colors. And I'll just explain the card real quick. So this is Geoff Collins' introductory press conference. We'll get 3 of them out of the way real quick. And I'll cards on the table. I watched this interview when it came out about a month ago. Haven't got around to making this video until now. High level, elite consistency. I think he's become a little bit aware of this because I don't think he really does it that much in this interview. We'll have to see. But he likes to just shotgun those words like anyone should be impressed, that he just keeps using them over and over again. And I'll give you an example. Most of the time at Tech, he would come out, we gotta have an elite mindset. We've got to play at a high level. He likes to talk with his hands a lot too, kind of like a politician and or like preacher. And we've got to do it with consistency. He's almost like Shatner. Was that guy's name? William Shatner. It's almost like Shatner, like he's like overacting. Like he always does this. So that's why those 3 are on there. Nonsense key phrases. That evolves throughout the year for him. He'll kind of latch on to like one key phrase that he's made up, and you can tell in his mind it's like the most genius thing ever. It's some kind of revelation, but when you really think about it, it's like, what does that really mean? Why do you think that's impressive? Stupid affect. I put that on there because either his haircut or what he's wearing is going to look really stupid. So his whole time at Tech, he was very concerned with how he looked. He doesn't like to wear socks. I guarantee you he's not wearing socks here. And I know that sounds weird, but it came up several times. People in the media had mentioned this, like he's got these weird quirks, so he doesn't like to wear socks. He likes to have on a shirt usually that's 2 sizes too small. He likes to show off his muscles, have a really tight shirt on. Even in press conferences at Tech, he talked about, look at the pleats on these pants. We got all the coaches these pants. And I'll just tell you, when the guy is concerned about what the coaches are wearing, you've scraped the bottom of the doo-doo barrel for a coach. Word salad. He'll either just start throwing out random words, and I'm gonna say this even though I shouldn't. It's almost like Jordan Peterson, if you're familiar with that guy, if you took away any intellect or really education. So Geoff Collins, in answering a question, will almost be indistinguishable from a random word generator. He just keeps throwing out words that you like individually, what those words mean, but when he puts them in a sentence, I have no idea what he's talking about. In fact, I remember listening to this and like feeling like I was falling to sleep in the middle of his answer because I just have no clue what he's talking about. Verified lie, self-explanatory. Dude will just outright lie. Just outright, there's no way what he's saying can be true. Yeah, sure. If you'll notice, whenever someone's asking a question, like Geoff in his own mind is such a genius, he can't wait for you to shut up with your question, and he'll just start interjecting filler words while you're asking the question. Sure. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. And it's friggin' annoying. Not me. He's not going to take responsibility for anything he's ever done. And he's coming off the heels of like one of the worst stints as a head coach in the history of college football. So that's what we're working with. Let's see if we get the bingo.
You leave your man cave and come here and get to work. So it's been an honor to be here. I played in this great state at Western Carolina University with Lonnie Galloway. I met my wife, Jennifer, of 28 years in this great state. Was able to coach 4 years at my alma mater for 4 years, and then the experiences that I've had being in the ACC for as long as I have. Always had a tremendous amount of respect for this place, for this university, for the football program, and having gotten to know Coach Mack for the last 7 years. When I was the head coach at Temple, he would call games, and I got to know him. And then being in the ACC meetings together and the head coaches meetings, and then him being a mentor to me has been a special experience. And for him to call and offer me the chance to be the defense coordinator for him at this place, I do not take this responsibility lightly. I feel very honored to be in this position, and thankful to him, his wife Sally, for this amazing opportunity. So with that, Jeremy.
So right off the bat, we can go ahead and put stupid affect on there. And I even have like a Carolina blue for my exes here. What is that haircut? Most of the time, when someone who kind of knows what's going on with how to look isn't involved, like he just looks like Eggman from Sonic. Or originally Dr. Robotnik. Golly, man. He's also looks like he's put on quite a bit of weight since his time at Tech. Now, I do think North Carolina caught on with his, way too tight shirts, and they said, yep, let's avoid that. All coaches are just going to wear a hoodie. That'll solve two issues. One, with wearing too tight a shirt for Geoff, and it also is going to hide his weight gain.
Questions? Okay.
So when you have your conversation with Matt and you're starting to get down to brass tacks, what are some of the things he told you that just had to change?
Well, I think the film study that I've been able to do over the last year, when this opportunity started to come about after the bowl game, I watched every single game over the year, a couple of times, and just I've known Coach Chizik for a while, have a tremendous amount of respect for him. Actually, a couple of days ago, he sent me a very nice text, so I've got the utmost respect for him and appreciation for him. But just some things that we went through the interview process, playing a lot of guys, creating chaos from our perspective without being chaotic internally matters to me. And, letting the players play fast, let them play free, and, those kind of things I expressed to the defense when I talked to them on Tuesday. And I was also able to watch the returning players. There's some really good players on this roster. And then in the bowl game, you got to see a lot of the younger guys get their chance to play.
And I'll just quickly say that's why this ain't going to work, right? North Carolina's always had talented players, especially since Mac Brown has taken over. Talent is not the problem. It's execution. It's coaching. And if I was a North Carolina fan, I would probably feel the same way if I didn't know what I know. Even kind of behind the scenes with Geoff, a lot of things that happen. North Carolina fans are going to say, well, he was a bad head coach. Lots of people were bad head coaches. You can even, a guy like Will Muschamp was a horrible head coach, but he's one of the top, defensive coordinators in the country. I know he stepped down for this year to take time, do other things. Geoff isn't that guy. Geoff ain't that guy. Having talent and underperforming is his MO. And the game has passed him by as far as when he was able to have success as a DC. Think about how different defense and offense is from a decade ago, because that was the last time he was a coordinator, was about a decade ago, 2015. He might be able to be okay if he had a head coach that really was able to rein some of his silliness in. And you got to ask, is Mac Brown that guy? I mean, lots of North Carolina fans are kind of ready for Mac Brown to move on. So just, to spoil the plot, it ain't going to work out with Geoff. I'm telling you.
I did deep dives into their high school tape and even the transfers their tape as well. So it's just very excited to get to work with them.
And I should have identified myself. Andrew Jones, Tar Heels.
Okay, thank you.
Andrew Jones.
Did you go through the whole season, breaking down the cut-ups and everything?
So as far as this place or in general? Well,
Whatever.
yeah, so,
you want to go.
so I explored a lot of different opportunities in this past year. One of the best things is getting to spend so much time with my wife and my 7-year-old daughter. That has been absolutely amazing. But to kick off the season, as we're exploring opportunities, whether it be media or whatever else, we went to support a couple of our buddies on the very first weekend of college football. And my wife kind of looked at me as I'm on the field for pregame warm-ups, and she saw that look in my eye, and she was like, okay, we're probably going to end up getting back into this thing by the end of the season. But then going through the season, doing some consulting work, having access to all the tape, college tape, NFL tape, doing some consulting work, just studying the trends in college football, seeing the things defensively that are, coming from the NFL and then from college back to it. It's excited me. One of the things that I've missed the most, being a head coach is awesome.
Remember the question. The question was like, how much time did you take watching film and stuff? I'm not going to mark it down yet, but we're kind of well into word salad at this point. Like, does anyone give a crap what he's talking about right now, even if you're a North Carolina fan?
But I genuinely miss being a play caller and standing in front of a defense and calling plays on college football Saturdays, and to have this opportunity to do it for Coach Brown is truly an honor.
Just to follow up, where was that opening weekend? Where were you at?
I was at Central Michigan to support Jim McElwain, Central Michigan versus Michigan State. And then the next day I was in the big house seeing East Carolina play Michigan, and just being on the field for both those games. They were going pretty strong, and I kind of knew that I was gonna the media career for Jeremy was going to be short-lived, and I was going to be back on the grass. And
all right, now we will mark this one down. Media career? What media career? What media career are you talking about? That's a verified lie. If by media career you mean occasionally making appearances on podcasts that no one's ever heard of or cares about, I guess, or Josh Pate carrying water for you because he believed your line of BS about why Tech decided to part ways with you and shovel the manure that you left in their backyard. By the way, what do you mean by short-lived too? Because most of the time, when you fall into the category of just a guy that was not a good head coach, but is an elite defensive mind in the country, people would consider me one of the preeminent defensive coordinators in the country. Okay, and by people, I mean me and myself. They get hired like that. I mean, within months. He went an entire season plus a little bit before a team that's never cared about defense decided to hire a guy that's not going to improve their defense. I mean, just think about like people that fall into that category that get hired right away. And he'll talk about, all these people that showed interest. Let me tell you something. If a single, decent or better Power 5 program showed any interest in hiring him as DC, he would have taken it like that. This guy wanted to get back into coaching. By the way, thinks that it was just some conspiracy led by Brent Key that got him fired at Tech. He would have taken it. So he's absolutely full of crap there. We got two.
Coaching, when the season ended, and then just the amount of respect I have for Coach Brown. And this opportunity presented itself. No Charlton Warren. I tried to hire Charlton Warren to be a part of my defensive staff twice before. Coach Thigpen, I'd recruited against in the SEC and always known what a tremendous recruiter is and what a tremendous person he is. Same thing with Jason Jones. Recruited against him, coached against him in a couple of Egg Bowls, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and then gotten to know Coach Ted.
Egg Bowl's perfect for him.
So part of the process too, on the Zoom, even though I was being interviewed, I was interviewing too. Because one of the biggest pieces for me is I want to be around really good people that are in the game for the right reasons to positively impact the players, play great defense, have a collaborative effort. And on the Zoom calls, you could just feel, the sense of ownership that the guys had, the pride that they had. And then I got to spend the first day out recruiting. I was with Ted the entire day and just shared philosophies, shared experiences, the way to treat people and to care about your players and to coach your players. That was great. Got to meet his wife, Amy, this weekend as well. So the people matter to me. Patrick Suttis, who's the general manager here. He and I have been close friends, I think now for 16, 17 years. And obviously playing with Lonnie, that familiarity with him is huge too. And then Chip Lindsey, he and I go way back.
Well, I mean, he says he likes to have people, like great people surrounded him. This is the guy that hired Dave Patnode as OC. Dave Patnode, if Geoff is the worst head coach in history, Dave Patnode's the worst OC in history. So that's the other thing. Geoff's ability to build a staff is absolute doo-doo and garbage. You're going to have to deal with that as well.
He was a high school coach at Spain Park, and I followed his career. I've always thought the world of him and him being on the staff too, all of those pieces, including it, but especially Coach Brown made this move, something we're really excited about.
Patrick worked for you.
He did. He was with me, but we were together at Alabama, Coach Saban's first year, and then have remained close friends ever since. And then we were together for 3 years. He was my general manager there as well, and I think the world of him.
By the way, don't think that him working for Nick Saban means anything. It would, however, he didn't learn anything from Nick. Everything that made Nick a great coach as far as being hard-nosed, preparing players, all that, Geoff isn't a fan of. Geoff doesn't really like being tough on players at all. He likes to tickle their balls a little bit and tell them how great everything they're doing is. But don't worry, y'all find that out soon enough.
Tommy Ashley from Inside Carolina, when you're watching breaking down Carolina
Sure.
film, and
Sure.
What have you seen that sort of blends with that?
Yeah.
What can you continue to do? What
Sure.
do you have to shift?
One of the biggest things is the terminology piece. Trying to salvage as much terminology as possibly can, and that's why having the coaches being able to translate, because it's whether you run a 3-4, 4-3, middle field open, middle field close, the terminology is the learning curve for the guys. And I've gone in transition before.
For North Carolina's defense, it's going to be the not giving up 400 plus yards a game part that's going to be the learning curve.
We try to keep a lot of the terminology, especially as techniques and fundamental things. So having that piece will be huge. But the thing that I'm excited about is the piece that you always want to make sure you have is the defensive line. And I think we've got a lot of good defensive linemen returning. And I would be remiss to start spouting off names because I do not want to leave anybody off during the introductory. But there's some really good players that we have returning, and excited about the new guys that are coming in as well.
He is right about that. As far as a defense, it starts up front. If you don't really have a defensive line that can get after the quarterback or stuff the run up front and force the offense to kind of do things they might not be comfortable with, then you're going to have a tough time, which I ain't telling North Carolina guys anything they don't know.
Sure. So what does that look like to you with this roster? Yeah, I think it's just being aggressive on early downs. One of the biggest pieces is, you want to get people into advantageous situations for the defense and creating third and longs. That's where most of the turnovers in college football happen. So being aggressive and multiple on early downs, the terminology and the way we call things make it be very easy for our players to learn so that they can play fast, live in the backfield, and cut them loose, then rotate guys in to create depth. So in case you do ever have a run of injuries, you have guys that have experience, and kind of done that, my entire career, played a lot of guys. And
that's a lie. That's another verified lie. You can double that square up. He's going to tell you he's all about simplifying things, making it easy, a system his players can play in. That's fundamentally opposed to who he is. He likes to be gimmicky. He likes to do kind of cutesy stuff. I know it's on the offensive side. When we played Clemson, he had all the linemen line up as wide receivers and had 3 people in front of the quarterback and running back, and then ran the ball and got stuffed. He comes up with things on the back of a napkin that sounds genius to him, and he actually likes to implement that. So terminology-wise, schematically and stuff, I guarantee you it's going to be this convoluted, just spaghetti nonsense that is going to be very difficult to implement for your players.
Those kind of things kind of give you confidence in being able to do that. So it's an aggressive nature. It's an aggressive mindset that we have in the building, and I think the guys got to experience that in the first defensive unit meeting the other night. I'm trying to be a lot more tame in front of you guys in the introductory press conference, but you guys will get to see me on the grass and with the fellas, but we're gonna, again.
I'm sorry that you have to do that.
Without being chaotic. Let them get their feet set. Let them get the call.
Let me back it up.
Chaos without being chaotic. Let them get their feet set. Let them get the call. Let them play fast and aggressive.
And with that, 9 minutes into a 22-minute press conference, we have a bingo. So, like I said, he'll latch on to something that he thinks sounds great. I get the point he's making with it, but he's just a gimmicky guy. For everything he lacks in substance and effectiveness, he makes up with flowery language and presentation. So get used to that. Let's see if we can fill up the whole card.
And have confidence in what they're doing and how they're doing it. I think that all works together.
So what did you do at that meeting? Were you challenging guys? Were you rallying them up?
Just explaining, kind of the arc of my career, the arc of my defense has shown them, the success that I've been able to have as a play caller and the players.
Did you show them your defenses at Tech? Because it's probably indistinguishable from North Carolina defenses. I'm sure they'd like it.
That have helped me do that as well. And just the graphic that I showed the guys of the guys that I have coached that are, household names in the NFL. Who's a household name that you coached? That's the expectation. That's the standard that I see when I'm coaching you guys as well. And so I think those kind of things, when it can be reinforced that you've had success as a play caller, as a builder of defenses, and then the players have had success playing in your system. I think it accelerates the buy-in and, just the initial vibe and the feel in the room. It was really good.
You mentioned, obviously,
It was really good. It was a really good vibe. I really like the vibe with the guys. By the way, he has a nickname, the Minister of Mayhem. By the way, he kind of looks like Butch Jones here, doesn't he? He has a nickname, the Minister of Mayhem. Like, he even has it on his Twitter and stuff, if you go look at it. And it's like, oh, yeah, how did he get that? Who gave him that nickname? Geoff gave himself that nickname. And it's a fitting nickname because he's going to be a Minister of Mayhem as far as how effective your defenses can be.
wanting to play a lot of guys,
Sure.
defense to
Yep.
get a lot of guys in there. I guess kind of at your different stops and things like that. What's kind of during the flow of a game, how do you go about kind of doing that intentionally? I know that sometimes the conversation is about, maybe it's the linebackers don't, rotate enough.
Sure.
During the flow of a game, how do you kind of go about
I think we'll go ahead and fill that out. Yeah, he's not interested in how long your question is. This is the Geoff show. Let me talk. Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. Let me talk about all the great household names I coach that I can't name a single one.
So it's not during the flow of the game, it's during the week of practice. So everything that we do is graded. Everything is transparent with the guys in the room. On Thursday, we'll have a meeting. I talked about this during the interview process. On Thursdays, we'll have a meeting called Playing the Players. So I'll ask Coach Ted, I'll ask Coach Jones, how are you going to...
Doesn't that sound like, sounds like something I would make up, right? Like, I'm telling you, coaching football isn't his priority. It's entertainment and media. That's why I'm surprised. Like, he would be great for like the kind of crap I do, or TV or entertainment. He'd be great for that. Playing the players. Okay.
Play your position throughout the course of the game. So we will have those conversations on Thursday. How many snaps we think they're going to get, what situations in the game are they going to play, those kind of things. And that's how we've done it pretty much ever since I was at Mississippi State, and it's been good for us. And so we'll continue that process. And there's certain times of the game, especially at certain positions, especially the D line, I need to know which D line and which D tackles are in the game, and that'll affect how I call certain stunts or certain pressures, whatever else, throughout the course of it. But we have those conversations on Thursday. It's called Playing the Players. And I think the more players that you can play, it helps you.
So are you telling me that you have a meeting with your staff that that has its own gimmicky name? Hey, our coaching staff's meeting on Thursdays will now be known as Playing the Players. I mean, this is what you're getting with this guy, man. Like, I really, part of me feels bad for Tar Heel Nation.
Further down the line as you get into the season as well.
How much does having been a head coach, including in two different places, so you've been a big part of offensive game planning, how much does that help you now that you're getting back in solely as a defensive coordinator, so you know how the offensive world works a little bit more?
Yeah, being in those meetings has been invaluable. Even this time this year, when I've had a unique perspective to kind of look at the game from kind of an outsider's perspective has been huge too. And I think I wrote these 4 principles down that just keeps showing up as I watch ball in the NFL or in college is obviously be strong up the middle, have the ability to set edges. In this day and age, you cannot allow easy access throws because everything's an RPO, everything's quick, get the ball out. So denying easy access throws and then affecting the quarterback. So we have to build the system and put the players in position to do those 4 things on every snap. So those are the things to take away throughout the year, that I've kind of honed in on.
By the way, what do you mean you were an outsider in those meetings? You were the head coach. Does it make you an outsider in your offensive meetings? By the way, people say, well, he was all right at Temple. Yeah. You know whose team he inherited at Temple? Matt Rule's team that had NFL players on it. And he went, 7 wins, like 6 and 7 wins, which is okay. Did it warrant a 7-year contract at Tech? No. That's why the guy, Geoff Collins, this guy's so bad. Last job he was at, the guy that hired him got fired with him. Now, I will somewhat defend Geoff. Like, he inherited, a crap show at Tech coming out of the triple option, Turned out it wouldn't have mattered what he inherited with how he ran things and his insecurity and immaturity.
Was it Andrew Thacker that was your DC?
He was.
Okay.
So Andrew Thacker was his DC. Andrew Thacker was demoted this year and then fired at the end of it.
2 questions that
Sure.
might be a little chaotic. But did you call the defensive plays when you were the head coach, or was that Andrew's job? And also, when you were at Tech, just what was your opinion of the UNC teams that you played?
Sure.
As you game plan for them? I know that was like when Jay Bateman was here. Just like, what did you all pick out?
Sure.
From UNC defensively that you thought you might could, exploit.
Right. Andrew.
So, first of all, I want you to pay attention. He was asked, like, Andrew Thacker was your DC at Tech, right? Kind of what? So, to open up to talk about him, and then what did you, because he had success against North Carolina defensively at Tech. It's really the only time Tech was able, under him, to have any success on defense was against North Carolina. Look at how political of an answer this is and how much of a politician's answer this was, because he was asked about Thacker in context of how involved were you with the defenses at Tech. This is a great question. This is, and he's it's not his fault, right? That turns out.
Thacker, tremendous young coach. Actually, he was at Furman University when I was the defense coordinator at Western. His stepfather is one of my high school coaches, so I've had a long relationship with him. The first 2 years at Temple, when I was the head coach, heavily involved with the defense. The first year at the last place, heavily involved. And then Coach Matt brought it up earlier. During COVID and the subsequent year after that, became less involved. There were other overarching things that I had to worry about as a head coach. But I think Thack does a tremendous job. But I'd say the first 3 years of a head coach was far more involved defensively than I might have been the last couple. So,
right. So it was all Thacker at Tech. So when he was at Temple, when things weren't so bad, that was all Geoff. At Tech, that was all Andrew Thacker. So not me. I'm, and think about how silly that is. Like, he's touts himself as this just elite defensive mind in the country. And he didn't have a defense ranked better than like 105th at Tech. That definitely reflects on him. If he didn't get super involved when he had all these garbage defenses, or when he realized the defense wasn't what he thought it was going to be, then he's a horrible at what he does.
In your opinion of UNC?
oh yeah. So just distinct, I think they've
By the way, that's our second bingo. This guy's great.
love Coach Brown, love the program. Obviously, Coach already talked about how explosive we've been here offensively and dynamic. And I just remember the size, and I told this to Des Evans. I still remember us being in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and him being the stand-up outside backer jack into the boundary, and I'm like, this is what our guys are supposed to look like, and now I get to coach it. So big physical defensive line, long, athletic.
So little shade thrown at Tech there, right? This is what our guys are supposed to look like. Well, you were the head coach, Geoff. Man, imagine that was totally within your ability to change. But he'll tell you Tech lied to him and didn't give him what he needed, this, that, and the other. He's talking about size here. Doesn't surprise me. Jeff's a size queen. He likes length. He likes size. Hopefully he got that, since he's been sitting at home with a lot of time. But yeah, good to hear he hadn't changed.
Obviously, Power Up was kind of in that linebacker.
Yep.
Was kind of the lead guy there. Have there been any guys who have been chatting?
Right. So
He was asked about defense, by the way.
take it back even a little bit further. This isn't on defense, but the first person I called and FaceTimed was Nate McCullum.
By the way, North Carolina, appreciate you ruining Nate McCullum's career up to this point. He was the guy at Tech. Fantastic, great wide receiver. Y'all give him a bag of money, which is fine. There ain't nothing wrong with that. If I was able to throw bags of money around at Tech and get players, I would. No one knows who he is now. No one knows Nate McCullum's name. And you might say, well, he's at Tech. No one knew him before. More people did. More people did. And, it's not a coincidence that Geoff brings this up. Geoff is an immature man-child, and he wants to stick it to Tech. He really does. Now, once Key comes into town next year, he'll get to live his size queen fantasy out right there on the field. So that'll be entertaining to see. But yeah, you're asked about defense. You're bringing up Nate McCullum, a wide receiver whose career was ruined by going to North Carolina.
So they sent out a Teamworks to the team before they announced it to you guys. And Nate sends me an immediate text. Again, I'll save that between us. I screenshotted it, to keep it in my heart. But I FaceTimed him before I even called my mom and my in-laws. I called Nate McCullum and had a FaceTime with him. And then I don't know if it was, I'll have to check the timestamp, but Rucker, number 25, hits me up within the first 30 minutes, and we get on the phone and we talk and start having conversations. He's come in and watched film. Powers come in and watch film. Long conversations with them. Obviously, us getting on the road, recruiting, throws a little, wrench in there, but we'll continue to build those relationships. But, those two guys were the first ones. And then two, they jump off of the tape. When you turn that thing on.
Nate jumped off the tape at Tech. Not since he's been at North Carolina. So you both, you're both there now.
23, really good players.
Then, was there a particular message you kind of had for them? Kind of the fact that they are veterans and anything like that. Like in the conversations you had, like was there, I guess, kind of a particular message you had?
Yeah, just the expectation that we have, the standard that we have, philosophically on defense, the leadership positions that they're already in within the organization, but also the things that we need them to do, with the guys moving forward and the work ethic and all those kind of things, empowering them to make sure they step up and, set the standard, uphold the standard, and those kind of things.
On the recruiting side,
Yep.
guys want to get their, quote unquote, their players in. What does that mean for Geoff Collins as far as when you're out on the trail looking for certain
Sure.
types of picture style?
Yeah, and
Now, here's the probably only credit I'll give Geoff. Geoff's a fantastic recruiter. So you're going to bring in more talent. And you might have more talent on defense you ever have. All the things that I'm criticizing him for work great in recruiting. Lying to people, being able to market things, being able to phrase things and present in a certain way. We'll see if he's able to, everything I saw at Tech as far as X's and O's, he gets over.
And again, that relationship that I have with Patrick Suddas, it is huge. He knows the types of guys that we want in the program. And then Coach Brown is one of the best recruiters in the history of college football. And, so just long, athletic.
Is that true? Coach Brown is one of the greatest recruiters in the history of college football. I don't know about that. Is he a really good recruiter? Yeah. Best of all time? No, I mean, this is a great place to stop it, by the way. This is what, when he's calling plays for y'all, come back to this right here, this phase.
Guys that go out there and make plays and fly around. And I think one of the biggest things, too, is building the defense around the players that you have. Because if you watch the defenses that we had at Temple, or the defenses that we had at Florida, or the defenses that we had at Mississippi State.
So he's not gonna bring up Tech. And you might say, oh, well, he was a head coach there. Well, he was a head coach at Temple, too.
Schematically, they all were not the same. But it was based on the players that we had in the system, and what we could do, with those guys. And it'll be the same process that we'll go here. I've got all the defensive coaches and the recruiting staff, regardless of position, just rank the players 1 through 25. However you view that. And then the challenge for me will be based on whether it's 11 personnel or 12 personnel, nickel, base, whatever, is putting the best players out there on the field to affect the game. So we'll go through that process over the next 3 to 4 weeks, just building the system around the players, but just the philosophy of creating chaos, creating mayhem, getting sacks, tackles for loss, PBUs, creating turnovers, those kind of things will filter into all of those schematic decisions.
Geoff, is it a 4-2-5 base?
Is, yes.
Bro? That was a weird response to that question. Again, he wants to act like he's got some big secret no one's going to be able to figure out, coming up for the next season.
But if you look at what we did at Mississippi State and at Temple, it was a lot more overhang, sandbacker, nickel. When we were at Florida, it was a more middle field closed, man-free type of nickel. So it just depends on, the guys that we have, and we're able to be multiple throughout. But as long as the overarching principles are in place, we'll be good.
And how close maybe were you to taking another job? It sounds like per Matt that you were hitting you up a lot. Like,
Yeah.
How close did you?
Of course, the guy that just hired you is going to act like there was all of this interest in the guy that you just hired, and you snatched him from everyone else. There was no Power 5 program that was looking at Geoff, and it's because all the things that we know that happened at Tech with him got around the coaching circles. And no one wanted to take a chance on a loser like Geoff. And that's what he is at the end of the day. His whole, philosophy is losing. He's a loser. And again, you're going to find that out.
What do you think about some of the
There were some things, but I'll keep those. I am so happy to be here. One of the biggest things, too, is the self-reflection piece. And the things that I was looking for.
Okay.
And a lot is the development of me as a coach. And you get to work for somebody who's the 7th all-time winningest coach in college football. See that as a growth opportunity as well, to learn from somebody like Coach Brown was very attractive to me as well.
The thing is, he doesn't just need to develop as a coach. He needs to develop as an adult. I mean, think back to him ripping his hand out of Pat Narduzzi's hand when they, after the game, and he was mad because Narduzzi went for 2, and when it made all the sense in the world. He has some maturity issues to develop, right? So we'll see. I mean, Paul even alluded to him being kind of two-faced and, oh yeah, we love these kids, blah blah blah. Then when their back turns, just talking trash about them.
All right, Chancellor, Chapel, and Media Group.
Yes, sir.
Building depth has always been a problem.
Okay.
Especially toward the end of the season. I'd say about the ACC, most ACC schools have good players, not enough of them.
Okay.
So after Minnesota, you get 3 games that you should win. What's the balance between getting guys who may not be ready into those games so they can be ready as the season goes
Well, I think
versus
sure, and I think Coach Mack talked about it. Is we have so many guys that are here right now that are part of this new wave of players. So it's 15 practices in spring ball, getting to do the extra work that the NCAA has allowed us to do in the off season with those guys to get them ready to play, and then preseason camp, all those kind of things. Just the experiences of playing a lot of guys, having the way we term things in a simple, packaged manner, so they can digest it and then go out there and play fast. I think that helps young players. When you have a lot of verbiage, a lot of different terms that aren't built in families, I think that is harder for young guys especially to learn. But the way we package things is set so they can play fast, get on the field early, and go out there and make plays and play free.
Will you play guys who normally you wouldn't play because they're not ready early in the season to try and get them ready?
They have to be ready.
Thanks for giving him a softball. That's the dumbest question ever. Whoever asked that question should be fired. Do you play players that aren't ready just to play them? Yeah, man, we love these starters that have been here for 3 years that have busted their asses. We bench them. We just play freshmen because they got more eligibility. Absolutely idiotic.
We got a brand and a program that we've got to play really good defense for, but it's our job as coaches to get them ready so they can go out there and play at a high level.
Ah,
You guys good?
yes, we got it. High level.
Correct.
All righty.
Appreciate you guys.
We'll bring up.
All right, well, that's the whole thing. We didn't get consistency or elite. Honestly, I would say his whole every interview is a bunch of word salad. But to be fair to him, every coach's interview is just a bunch of word salad. It's just a bunch of PR speak. We call it coach speak nonsense. Look, we'll see how Geoff does at North Carolina. I have zero confidence in it, and it's because a lot of the issues I have with Geoff have nothing to do with coaching. It has to do, honestly, with what kind of person he is. He's always been a guy, or North Carolina's always been a team that has talent that's underperformed it. That's what Geoff did at Tech, and to a certain extent what he did at Temple while I was the head man. Maybe as DC, he's learned some things. He's matured a little bit. We'll see. We play this team. I don't know where it is on the schedule. I think it's a little toward the end of the season, middle of the season. It'll be in Chapel Hill. But let me know what you guys think. If you're a North Carolina fan, I'm sure you're like, this guy's an idiot. He's just trashing this guy. I get that. Let me know what you think in the comments. Y'all have a good one.